Hey everyone, Matt here with Night Run Studio. One of the most unique challenges I've experienced in working on WiIlard has been creating my own sound effects for the first time. That sound effect right there, the crate breaking, that sound effect is actually just the product of me picking up some drumsticks and dropping them on a desk. I recorded them using Audacity and then just altered the pitch and speed a little bit to get the right sound. Lately I've been working on adding sound and music to my demo for WiIlard, and as I was doing that I started a new tutorial series on how to add sound effects and music in Unity. I thought some people might find it interesting though to see how the whole package fits together. How do I get it so that when I move a crate, it actually makes a sound effect that fades out when I stop? Here's how we do it. All right, so wanting to create a sound effect for dragging a crate around in my world, I want to have a nice grainy, gravelly kind of a sound, and so I'm actually going to try dragging this thing of Lysol wipes across the desk, and we'll see if that can get the right sound. So here goes. All right, we're gonna stop that and do a little bit of editing. All right, so I'm gonna start off by just trimming the outsides of the tracks. I just get that nice meaty bit of sound in the middle. And I'm actually gonna get rid of the little bit of fade at the beginning and end of the track as well, as I'll actually code those in Unity so that it fades in and out the way I want it to, not the way it did in real life. It's actually not a bad sound effect. A couple things we wanna do. First of all, we wanna amplify this a little bit. So let's just bring that. 8 decibels would be a lot to add. Let's try adding like 9. Yeah, it's actually not a bad sound effect. One thing I might try, let's just see what happens if we play with the pitch a little bit. There we go, that's more like it. Other thing I'm gonna do is slow it down a little bit. So let's go to our speed and a percent change of -18, that might do the trick. Yeah, that's not bad, okay. Now I want this effect to last a little longer. I don't want it constantly looping. So I'm gonna just click on the end here and paste it, and maybe do that one more time. Now you'll notice there is a little time in between where it kind of fades a bit, and I don't want that. I want it to be just a nice steady sound. So we're gonna grab that, we're gonna grab this, again at the end. Let's hear that sounding. Is I still have this little bit of a gap here that I'm not liking. So we're just gonna do an effect and we're gonna add a crossfade between these clips. That's actually pretty good, okay. So first off, I've just got these crates in my scene. Each of them I've put an audio source on there, but I've just left it blank at the moment and not done anything special to it. The other thing I've got is I've got my player who has this push object script. This is just something that allows him to move the boxes around. It sort of connects them to his rigid body and allows him to drag them back and forth. So in my code, what I've just done is create some variables. I've got one for the audio clip of my crate being dragged. I've got a reference to the audio source so I can talk to it. I'm then just keeping track of when I start dragging. So this is when my player actually puts his hand on the object. You'll notice a little lower is when the drag sound actually starts to play, so that I can keep track of that. And then I've just got 2 coroutines, one for fading in and one for fading out the sound. All right, so then just down a little lower in my update method, I've got here an if statement that just keeps track of when I'm actually interacting with the box object. And so here I know that I've now started dragging it. My player's put his hand on it. I've also got this box variable, which just refers to the box itself and finds the audio source on it so that we can tell it to play a sound effect. Now down a little further in this else statement is for when I lift the button and stop interacting. And this just checks to see if we're already fading out the sound. If we are not already fading it out, we can then start the coroutine to stop dragging. Now just a little below here is where we actually do the start and stop dragging. So first of all, I just do a quick check of whether or not my player is interacting with the box, and then I check to see if its velocity horizontally is greater than 0.1. I also do a quick check to see if I'm already playing the drag sound effect and if I've already started to fade it in. If all of that checks out, then we start the dragging coroutine. I also do a check to see if we should stop the dragging effect, which again just checks if the box's velocity is less than 0.1, and then just makes sure that I'm not already fading the sound out. All right, and as for the code that actually goes into the start dragging effect, first of all, I just use a timer. I'm using a duration of about 2.2 seconds for my fade, and I just count that down. I then let my code know that we are in fact playing the sound effect. I set the clip to play as crate dragging, and then I make it so that it will loop and play over and over again and then start playing it. We then just get our timer to count down, and it just lerps or does a linear interpolation between 0 and full volume, and it does that over the time of 0.2 seconds. Once it's there, it lets everybody know that this fade coroutine is done, and we've now got our sound effect playing. My stop dragging effect then essentially works the exact same way, except that now in my fade timer I'm lerping from 1 down to 0. I'm also turning my loop off, that way when I play a different sound effect like the crate breaking, it doesn't loop it. Stop the sound altogether, and then just let my code know that I'm no longer playing a dragging sound and that the coroutine is finished. Now when I get back in Unity, I just have to make sure to put my crate dragging effect in here, and otherwise I just have these set to public for debugging purposes. You can actually private the started dragging and drag sound, which I'll do later on. Now though, I've got a cool effect so that when I walk up to the crate, creates that nice dragging effect, and you barely notice the fade. It happens so quickly, but it just kind of smooths out the beginning and end so that it works really nicely. All right, I hope that was useful or at least interesting to you. I'm continuing to work on the WiIlard demo, which I'm hoping to release later this month. Until next time, this is Matt with Nightrun Studio. Cheers.